We have made some progress in the development of the product. We are following a dual track approach. We have a product already listed by NAFDAC, which is in the marketplace, so to speak, and we are subjecting that product to clinical trials. Then we have a pure compound, which is an active pharmaceutical ingredient, which we want to develop as an API from Nigeria. Incidentally, if we do that and have that done, it will perhaps be the first API that's developed locally from the country. Yeah, we do import most of our active pharmaceutical ingredients that are used in drug making, but it is something local, so we want to do them on dual track. While we have the detox tea already in the market, we're also trying to develop the pure compound as a pharmaceutical ingredient. But the detox tea is what we are subjecting to clinical trials. The clinical trials actually is important. The clinical trial is important because until you're able to subject it to that analysis, to that standard method, all it is a listed product, which is not necessarily a drug, because right now it's just a phytomedicine, it's a dietary supplement, but we want to make a transition to that. Even if it's a known drug that is used for some purpose, and then you want to repurpose it for some other thing, you'll still have to subject it to such objective classification.
Are you saying it's a cure for COVID-19?
Yes, it can be used for the treatment. We don't talk about cure, we talk about treatment of COVID-19. Yeah, people can take it because more so because of the fact that we have shown that it is able to, by laboratory studies, to lower the ability of the virus to replicate, which is the essential thing. Since it can stop the replication of the virus, we believe that it can then be able to be useful in the treatment of COVID-19. But that's actually what we are out to establish. This is science. We want to go into the clinical trial with an open mind, but very sure that the hypothesis or the logic in which it is based on is grounded in science. And that's why the scientists, that about 17 of them from different universities that have lined up, who have volunteered their time, if it is not in it, they wouldn't have agreed to go on to perform the clinical trials. They are not subjecting us because it is us. It's a normal process. And we are glad and happy that we have a product that can go that far to be allowed to be put into formal clinical trials. The challenges are really enormous in the sense that for us, for our group, we are mainly interested in those diseases that are not fashionable. We do have a pharmaceutical company that does the normal products and to make our company, our group, viable. But we also have a situation where we now look at diseases that are not of interest to the bigger pharmaceutical company. For example, sickle cell anemia. Our group is the only company that has a product that is actually based on laboratory studies that is in the market for sickle cell anemia. It's called Cyclavit. We're also the only people who are not thinking in terms of finding a single cure for peptic ulcer as a single treatment. There is the standard treatment that is being used, where you now have a combination of 3 different antibiotics and you give to the patient. Those things, and we're also looking at having, we are involved in the malaria therapy and so on. We're also interested in dengue fever. We're also interested in leishmaniasis. These are not fashionable, but we enjoy what we are doing, that we find that we're adding value to human life. It's with a lot of cost. We have a facility here in Imo State where we process plant materials. It's about one of the best in the whole world. It's what happened in there that we were able to do good manufacturing practice, GMP levels for this facility that is there, and then we try to process the plant material. But our strength is actually because we have a network. It's not something done in one single place. When we do the clinical trial, Nigerians will be surprised that it's actually a consortium of various scientists. Even one of the members is actually a Cameroonian. The person in charge of our lab at Nsukka is a Cameroonian. So you see that it is just, we are linked by the passion for what we do. We want to be able to use what we have to solve our own problem. We can quite easily have imported synthetic materials and keep trying them, like chloroquine and all that. No, but the added thing is that the value that you bring to your own natural resources to the situation that you find yourself, that we are basically a tropical nation. These viruses will not go away unfortunately. Even after this one, some other thing will come. We still have Lassa fever with us. We still have dengue fever in some places and so on. So those viruses, we're actually part of a product of nature. And then there are some side effects, if you like, something that come with the benefits we are getting from our this natural lifestyle, so that when they come, we should be able to be prepared. And that's what we are doing, and it gives us a lot of satisfaction. The biggest problem we have is that lack of infrastructure. We don't have the facility like the developed countries. Most things you have to do it from scratch. But if it is in developed countries, I've just asked somebody, please, I want this thing done by a clinical trial. The person will not go off to do it. There's a company, there are groups, they call clinical research organizations overseas, CROs. I wouldn't have done anything. We just pay them money, they recruit the patient, they do this like a meal, they know what to do. But because of our level of development, we have to also do those things ourselves. So that's inability to do that. But Nigeria is rich enough. Nigeria is endowed enough that we can do it. All we are missing is connecting the dots. We have the scientists, we have the infrastructure. We're not the proper infrastructure, but we have things scattered all over the place that if we net them together, we can be able to do it. So that's the angle we are coming from. Not the angle of any bitterness, not the angle of blaming anybody. It's our level of development. It can be frustrating, all right, but nobody to be blamed. It's just us. Yeah, you can list a product if the NAFDAC is satisfied that it's safe. You list it. It's different from when you are now proposing for a particular cure. So it is now being proposed or repurposed for a particular cure. For that, you have to prove beyond reasonable doubt that it is, and that's where the clinical trials comes in. Yeah. But if, for example, you can say, for example, that you take mango 3 times a day, that it makes you feel good, or it makes your tummy flat, and people can testify that if they eat mango 3 times a day, happen that. But if it's not subject to clinical trial, you cannot make the claim. You cannot. This is more or less a bland statement. Say it's a detoxifier, which is not making the claim that it can be used for COVID-19. For you to make that claim, you have to subject it to clinical trials, and that is one of the things. So we are not, in the blame game of saying why are you doing this. No, what we wanted to do, or what we did at the time, was to alert the country that this pandemic is coming, that we have something that can help us solve that problem, something that can enable us not to have that many people dying. But luckily so far, God has been on our side. You can see that the death rate is not as alarming as people had feared, not as even some people had actually forecasted. There are people who forecasted that Africans will be dropping dead on the street when this thing comes around, but they are not God, so God did it for us. So that does not mean that we shouldn't also be able to lower even the death rate more significantly.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.